What is up, ladies and gentlemen? This is Vishak here, and welcome to another episode of Power Dynamics. In this episode, I really want to talk about the stress. And I've got quite a few things to discuss. So, as you can see, the video could be long for some of you and could be short for some of you. But regardless of what it is, hang in there, sit tight, because I'm going to go deep into stress and handling stress. Let's get down right into it. What exactly is stress? So stress is nothing but an emotion. When you experience a situation or a circumstance which is uncomfortable or uncertain, then you experience stress because it is a scenario of uncertainty, right? So let's go back in the days, talking about thousands and thousands of years ago, where at the start of the human race, when we started off, right, when we wanted to get the food, when we go for hunting, what we do is just we step out of the cave and then we travel towards these places of uncertainty to gather, to hunt and whatnot. Poisonous plants, animals, attack, threat and whatnot. I mean, anything that causes a threat to the life, that is stress. That is causing stress. So fast forward in this modern day and age, what exactly is stress? Apply the same formula, right? You experience anything that is uncertain, then you get the stress, right? You push past certain limits, mentally or physically, then you get stress. If someone is constantly nagging you with their problems and whatnot, you get annoyed. Annoying is a stress. So all of these, it's hormones, but it's stress, right? That's what you are experiencing. Now, the thing is, when you experience stress, what exactly is happening in the body? Stress, like I said, it is an emotion. But emotion, meaning at the physiological level, it's nothing but the chemical reactions that are taking place. So I want you to look at stress as a survival mechanism. So certain chemicals are dancing in your body to give a little harmony so that your emotions are along with that. So if you face an animal which is going to kill you, then what happens is there are chemical reactions that is happening in your body in such a way, either your body is going to give it's a flight or a fight response. That means if it is a fight, that means you instinctively know that you can stand and you can fight the animal and you can kill it. That's not going to kill you. But instead, if you see that as a threat and if you want to run away because you want to run for life, if that's the case, then you better run, and you will run. And again, this is a survival instinct. So when you run, that's a flight response. So either it's a fight or a flight response. Of course, there's another one called as freeze, where your mind is frozen, you are not able to think, your body doesn't move, and you're just stuck in that particular situation, right? So this is in terms of animals and forest and wildlife and whatnot, right? In the modern day, what are threats? When you go through a divorce, when you go through a breakup, when someone is admitted in the hospital, when you lose your job, basically you experience three crises, right? Health crisis, wealth crisis, relationship crisis. When you experience crisis like this is the top level of stress that anybody can experience. Okay, so every time when there is a stressful experience that is going on at the physical level or the mental level or even at the emotional level, these chemicals, the chemical reactions are happening in your body. So one hormone which goes up, that's called as cortisol. You must have heard about it. You're pretty much aware of it, right? So the cortisol, just imagine for people who are working. If you are a working professional, if you're working, and especially if you're over 40, right? You're working, and in case if you have a constant stressful situation on an everyday basis, then you are not traveling on the right trajectory. Let me explain what I mean by that. On an everyday basis, if you're experiencing stress, see, look, there are good stress and there is bad stress. If you go to the gym, if you really start working out, if you really push past, then there is a stress. It's a good stress. Okay, when you love something, let's say that you love music, you love to produce. I love music, that's why I'm giving you these examples, right? So when you sit and produce music, when you make music, you lose a sense of time because you're in love with it. At that time, you reach a point where your body doesn't need any anything like Maslow's hierarchy. You don't need food, you don't need sleep, you don't need water, you don't need to take a bath, you don't need anything, because you're so lost in that work that you just feel like this is it, and everything is instilled and the world doesn't exist. You're in that posture. But most people don't experience this level of euphoria on an everyday basis. So let's say that you're going to a job every single day, and if you're experiencing stress, if you're living a stressful life, then I'll tell you what, this is extremely bad. And I didn't realize it until I was 32. Okay, as many of you know, I was a corporate employee for a very long time, and stress was like a constant part of the life. But the thing is, like, you're not here to avoid the stress. If you're alive, then you're going to have problems in your life. There's nobody with no problems, right? So if you're going to have problems with it, you are going to be stressed. So the point that I'm trying to drive home is not to run away from the stress. You can't really run away from the stress, but you can manage it better. Okay, but before even I could go and talk about how to tackle and manage your stress, let me just talk about the things that can happen and that will happen to you if you don't manage your stress. All right, the first one is obesity. People will not be able to perform well anywhere. Personally, professionally, you will not be able to perform well if you are stressed out. And if this is happening on a daily basis, then that means you are having a high chance of developing the chronic stress. That means it's a condition that slowly but steadily progresses over time. So I want you to take a good look at your life, past life as in not the last life, but for the last 15 to 20 years. How have you been living, right? If those years have been filled with stress, chances are that you've developed the chronic stress. Now, it's not really about this chronic stress or the acute stress, but what this can lead to. People, when they get stressed, there are few comfort people go to. There are few places that you will go to. All right. First one is food. Comfort. You find comfort in the food. Speaking from the physiological level, when you are stressed, the cortisol is up. That means your body is looking at it as a threat. That is, a survival mechanism needs to kick in. So your body is literally thinking that, okay, so in case if I run out of the food, I will not be able to survive. So I need to eat the food. So first thing is, like, you have more temptation for and craving for the food. When I say food, I'm talking about food that are high in sugar, high in fat, high in calories, and all that. So people find comfort in food. Have you seen people, you must have experienced it yourself, when you're really stressed, mindlessly you just go, and it's an automated behavior. You just go and pick up the food and just start eating with, like, there's no tomorrow. Right? And that's a automated behavior. You're not putting your mindfulness into that, and then it just becomes a part of you. Every time when you're stressed, okay, that's like triggering a habit, and then you just go and do it. That's the first one. The second one is people rely on substance, drugs, movies, series, sex. All of these are distractions just to give you an escape. So mentally, it's just an escape for you to, get away from the stress. That means you're just literally running away from the stress and your problems, which you don't want to do that. Okay. So when you're stressed for a prolonged period of time, I'm talking about years and years. And if you have an automated behavior about going and eating the food, which is number one, you're going to get overweight. Yes. Okay. Now, from obesity, there are a lot of chronic diseases that happens. I don't want to get into that because, it's just a different subject altogether, right? Metabolic conditions, musculoskeletal conditions, weak heart, cardiovascular diseases, and it just diabetes and whatnot. Okay, it just goes on forever. Now, if you are living a sedentary lifestyle, now what happens is, like, now you're going to work, and because of your stress, first, you're not able to work efficiently. You're not able to be 100% productive. You cannot be on a attack mentality. When you're stressed, you are on the victim mindset. You are having a victim mindset. So it's pretty hard to be on a, full throttle. It's pretty hard. Okay. And the second thing is, like, you just eat. In case if you have the behavior of eating, then you eat. Or even if you don't eat, when the cortisol is up, you're not really burning off the calories. I'm talking about the bad calories. You're burning off all the good calories. That means you're burning off the food that is in your system, you're burning off the muscle that is in your system, and that's it. Your fat is still there. Now the thing is, like, when you're sitting, for 8 to 10 hours a day in a highly stressful situation, even if you don't eat the food, the chances are highly likely for you to gain a lot of weight, especially under the abdomen area, because you're sitting like this on an L shape. And of course, it's a desk job, right? And you're just sitting and all you're working is with your fingers. So what's going to happen is whatever the fat that you gain, it's going to be, contained or segregated towards that abdomen section. Okay. So this is called as a visceral fat. So there are two kinds of fat. One is a visceral, another one is a subcutaneous. So basically there are types of fats. So you're going to get obese, and especially on the tummy area. And that is the first consequence of stress. The second consequence of stress is your mental health. So stress, like I mentioned, it's an emotion. So once the emotion causes, the after effects or the repercussions of the emotion is either fight or flight response. So what happens is when you're emotional, let's say that you lost a job. Okay. So, that's the best example that I can give you for you to easily understand. So let's say that you're getting a notification saying you lost your job. Okay. Or you're going to lose your job. So at that particular point, what happens is, like, you're not able to think. You're high on emotions. Your throat dries up. Your blood pumps a little faster. Your heart beats a little heavier. And then now you got to either fight or flight. Now, in this case, flight is not an option because you've got to face that situation. You've got to face that scenario, right? You can't run away. You can't take a flight mode. So what are you going to do to fight? You cannot fight for your job. So what you got to do is you got to fight for another job, right? You've got to get into that mode. But the thing is, like, when you're high on your emotions, your mind will not be able to think. All it thinks about is the survival. How can I survive, right? So at that point, your performance will drop by 85%. I'm talking about the mental performance. You will not be able to think clearly. You will not be able to decide anything effectively. And the actions are followed by this thinking and decisions, right? So if these things are gone off the window, how are you going to act better? Are you getting the point? This is how much stress is going to impact you. And not only that, chronic stress over a period of time will actually lead you to anxiety and depression. And let me tell you this, and this is from my own personal experience as to what I was doing while I was going through the stress, what I did to get out of it. And here I am, right? So this actually makes me qualified to actually talk about it. So back in the days when I quit my job and I started off with my entrepreneurship journey. So as some of you know, or many of you know, that business, especially entrepreneurship, is like kind of lonely, and you don't have anybody to rely on. You can't talk to anybody like that, right? Eventually when you get used to this particular kind of a lifestyle, and this goes on for a while, and then you kind of like, you're just getting adapted. So it is all about the survival mechanism. So when the stress is going on for quite some time, this is not acute stress. Okay. This is not the stress that you like feel it, like, okay, you got a cut, you fell down, right? You fell down, you just finished your workout. These are acute stress. These are not chronic stress. Chronic stress is like you wake up, you are in pain. You go to sleep, you are in pain, you are not able to sleep, right? This was going on for me. So I reached a point of severe, like super high levels of stress, that it led me to places, dark places. And those places were like, I'm like, you wake up, I was waking up with so much of pain as in not in the body but in the mind, right? And then when I'm going to sleep, not getting sleep, losing the appetite, nothing really turns you on anymore. You're just in constant pain. Like, there's so much stress in the mind, you're not able to think better. There is no clarity in your thinking. There's no clarity in your goals. There's no, proper shape and structure in your vision. There is nothing really going on. You just hit the wall. Every day you feel that you hit the wall and there is no way out. You are inside a hole, and then all you can do is dig, but you cannot climb up. And that's the situation. And I still remember, I lost the appetite. I can't eat. I don't even want to eat. I can't feel the taste. I can't feel the love. I can't feel the affection, and whatnot, right? This was going on for some time. When I say some time, it's just like years together, right? So along with this journey, what I really got was anxiety. I'm talking about super through the roof anxiety, meaning you wake up and you're so scared. Meaning you just wake up and you're fucking scared. You're just so scared about your life. You're scared about your future. You have no idea what's going to happen. You have no idea what you're doing today. And you just the time is just filled with so much of anxiety. You're anxious most of the time, right? So you go through that, and that was for a while, and that severe anxiety will actually lead you to the depression, which I did. So back in the days, I still remember I took a depression test, and I was just waiting for the result. And then after some time, it just keeps, it builds a suspense, right? The website actually builds a suspense for a while, and then it just gives you that result. And when I saw the result, it was like severe depression, and I'm like, I'm not taking this. This is not for me. And I wanted to do another test, which I did. Again, I went to a different website. Again, I took the test once again. And I was like, I still remember sharing that particular screenshot with one of my friends. Hey, you know what? I think I'm in a deep shit. So I'm not saying that stress is directly related to anxiety and depression, but stress is a major factor when it comes to your mental health. And I'll tell you something, if you really wanted to perform at your best, if you really wanted to decide the best for your life changing decisions, right? If you wanted to be healthy, meaning if you wanted to burn off more calories, if you wanted to be eating better, if you want to have a good appetite, if you wanted to be moving all the time, right? You should not be in a sad state. And stress is a sad state. Most stressors are putting you in a sad state. So if that practice is not taken care of, then you've got to face the winter. Okay. So here I will be talking about how you can handle your stress. How do you deal with stress? Stress is something that you cannot run away from. Stress is something that you have to stand and face and deal with it. It's about the art of tackling it, right? How you need to tackle. So I'm going to give you 3 heavy hitting points that is going to really help you in a great way. And I'm telling you, when you do this, when you implement this, when you practice this for over some time, the way that it helps you, oh man, I can't even tell you that. I can't even explain you how much it's going to help you. Okay. So when you look for, how do I deal with stress? You know what you get, like, we just go to internet and just say, how do I deal with stress? And then you're going to get all this conventional method saying, seek a helper, go talk to somebody, seek a therapist, go and meet psychiatrist, and mindfulness, practice yoga, practice this, practice that. Yeah. I mean, yes, of course, those things can give you relief temporarily. But is that going to make you, or is that going to help you conquer it and your life? The answer is no. So the way that I look at it is like, it's not just looking at this particular stress or anything that's coming and threatening you. It's not looking at it as your enemy or something. My view on this is like, I want you to have a mindset of, how can I just dominate this? How can I just conquer that? And I want you to have that kind of a mindset. Of course, it's not just easy to develop the mindset when you're in deep shit. It's not. It's pretty hard, because the mind is like everything. So when you wanted to just get out of that particular thing, it is always about looking at it from a dominative perspective. Okay. And I'm going to teach you 3 things that's so powerful, so powerful. Number 1, yes, you must have heard about it, but still I want to tell you, and that is meditation. Okay. Do about 100 days. Without 100 days of meditation, that's not going to, you're not really going to experience that. I know it's a very conventional method, but in the long run, it will definitely be useful. Yeah, it is boring. Yeah, it is time consuming. Yes, all of this is there, but you got to do that. Okay. Just meditation, as in, you don't have to sit at one place and just say, oh, that's not exactly, that's not exactly how you want to do. If you want to do that, you can do that. But meditation is nothing but just putting your awareness into the present, and that's it. When you put your awareness in the present, you are focusing on the actions that you can take. You are not in the future, you're not in the back, you're not in the past, you're not anywhere, but you are in the present. You're right here. That means if I have to bring my awareness right here, I've got a laptop here, I've got a computer here, I've got a TV here, I've got a TV there, and I've got a microphone here. I'm sitting over here. These are my organs, and I'm talking to you. I am being super aware of what I'm doing right now. That means I barely have any thoughts about the future or the past. I'm not thinking about this, right? When does these emotions like regret or guilt and stuff like that, when does it come in? When you think about the past. When does this anxiety, when does that come in? Thinking about the future. So when you're not thinking about either of this, what is going to happen? You are in the moment. It's pretty hard to get this, but when you practice this for over some time, you are going to get it no matter what. Okay, so that's your first one. Number 2, and this is my method. Okay, number 2, high intensity interval training. That means when you go to internet, when you go to YouTube, just put in HIIT, you're going to get quite a lot of exercise. These are hard physical, but more importantly, the mental training. So anytime in the future, if you feel that you are stressed, if you feel that you have no way out, if you really feel that you're fucked, right? If you get to that point, what I want you to do is, I don't want you to think about anything. All I want you to do is just change your clothes, all right? Just wear a sports shoe, get onto a track, and then start running. Run like a mad dog. Run as fast as you can, as long as you can, as much as you can, and then stop. Wait for 30 seconds. Again, run as long as you can, as fast as you can, as much as you can. Again, stop as long as you can, do it, and then stop. Take a break, again do this. Repeat this for 10 times. And trust me, after this, when you come back, right, your brain is going to be filled with so much of oxygen that you can literally not only handle the stress better, but also you would be in a better position to think better with so much of clarity. And of course, you are going to be creative. And there are a lot of doors that are opening in your mind, and just say, all you're looking at is like, oh my God, there is so much of possibilities. I can do this, I can do this, I can do that, I can do this. Right? So you're pretty much filled with this. The man who goes, or the woman who goes for the running or for the training, and the one who comes back are entirely different people. Okay? So you can watch your state, you can watch your mental state, the way that you go, the way that you start, and the way that you come back. It's going to be entirely different. Your face is going to be filled with smile, like, oh, this is so good. Like, you feel that, you get that mentality, you develop that mentality over a period of time. And this is how you develop a new character that is indestructible. Okay? If not, you're always going to be on the victim side. You're always going to be like, oh God, why is this happening to me? Why me? All of that thing. Okay? So second one is a HIIT. Number 3, cognitive reframing. So this is, it's a concept in psychology, but I would like to associate this with the early ages concept called as Stoicism. This happened with the philosophers, the old age philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, and all of them. So the thing is, first off, what you can do. That's it. What you can do. That's it. You will see how your stress is going to go away. Let me just give you an example, right? It's pretty hard to understand. So cognitive reframing, as the word says, it's cognition, it's your mind, and reframing. That means you're going to look at that particular stressful situation from a different perspective, from a very different perspective. Okay? So let me just give an example. Let's say that you have received a pink slip. You're going to lose your job by the next week. Okay? So most people, what happens is they lose their shit. They literally lose their shit, and they'll be like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Your throat dries up the moment you hear the moment you hear the news. The moment you hear the news, your throat dries up, your eyes are red, your mind is like racing with, I don't know, like fear, right? And then your heart is racing, your blood is racing, everything is just off the hook. At that point, you would be filled with emotions, like I said. So it would be very, very hard for you to even think clearly or do anything for that matter, right? At that point, you should never ever do anything. At that point, just implement this. So all you got to do is just sit down, close your eyes, take a deep breath. Okay? And then you have to stabilize your awareness. That is the consciousness. You need to stabilize your physiology. That is your blood, your heart, and whatnot. So both of this is settled. You are in a much better place to think, decide, and act. That's the first step. Step number 2, now you have a situation right in front of you. You lost your job, right? Now what I want you to do is I want you to really think about the worst things that can happen to you. I'm talking about the worst things that can happen to you. What are they, right? For example, you could be in jail, right? You could be, I don't know, you could have met with an accident, or you could have been beaten by mobsters on the street, right? Or I don't know, anything that can happen. Your loved one is dead. Anything that can happen. At that point, none of this is there. So losing a job is just nothing while compared to other things. Just imagine you are in a jail. Washing the bathrooms and restrooms and whatnot, getting beaten by other people. You're not there, right? So you're here. You just lost your job. You didn't lose your life. So you've got oxygen in your lungs. So you've got the power to do things. That's it. The moment you start looking at this particular situation from this particular lens, my friend, that's where the magic happens. And then you'll be like, that's fine. I'm going to get it no matter what. And this is again how you get into that conquer mindset. Okay, so these are some of the techniques that I use. I'm an entrepreneur myself, and my ride is crazy. So these are some of the hacks and tricks that I use so that mentally and of course physically, I'm in a much better state. Okay, so yes, thank you for watching. Hit on the like, hit on the subscribe, hit on whatever the buttons that you see, and I will see you on the next video. Bye-bye.